Welcome to the Do It Anyway podcast. I am your host, Maria Redmond, here to take you down the wild, wild, crazy trail of all things fitness, wellness, nutrition, and everything in between. Welcome to episode 22 or 3. I don't even know, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know. I missed a week last week. I wasn't feeling well, so it's going to be 22 or 23. We're just going to call it. So that's what it is. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by to listen. If you've been along the journey, thank you so much also for being on this journey with me and growing my channel. Be sure to like and subscribe the videos and leave comments, as I do reply to each and every single comment that you guys leave. I try to catch up with them once a week, so please do that. Also, if you guys have any topics that you'd love for me to cover on the show, also leave them down in the comments and I will be sure to try to get to them. There's a couple things in queue going forward, so I'm always open to the ideas and always excited to share my knowledge with you guys and answer the questions that you may have. So with that,
Episode 23, by the way.
it's 23. We've just found out. It's official.
It's official.
It's official.
Episode 23.
So today's podcast is on sex. Not if you're having it. Well, actually, yes. Are you having it? Are you not having it? Why not? What's going on? But no, in all seriousness, I wanted to do like a little bit of a deep dive on intimacy and sex. And I started wondering, like, is there a direct correlation between nutrition and exercise and your sexual libido? I was like, I wonder if there's any studies that have been done on this. And to my surprise, there actually have been some studies. So I felt like, everyone wants to have, a great sex life. And so it's probably something worth discussing, because when did we ever discuss nutrition and exercise when it came to sex? Mostly never. So before I get into that, though, I wanted to definitely say a little bit what I'm going to discuss in terms of the nutrition and exercise. Of course, is not the end all be all, right? Because we all know that to have a healthy sex life, we also need to feel like we want to have sex with a said person. And a lot of factors also go into that have, well, I guess actually they could tie back into nutrition. Like, where is your self-esteem at? Are you comfortable with your body? Do you have a partner that you're really into? Things of that nature. That maybe food, and exercise can play a small role, but maybe might not be the biggest thing. So I do want to say that I don't personally think that nutrition and exercise are like the end all be all, but I do, from what I've read and what I'm understanding now, I do think that they are highly pertinent to making sure that you have a, great sex life, and one that's lasting into your, later stages of life. So let's get into it. First and foremost, nutrition plays a very, very critical role, I found. Without enough nutrients going into the body, i.e. zinc, B12, your body can't regulate your hormones such as your testosterone and your estrogen. And surprise, surprise, we definitely know we all need our testosterone and estrogen to even make this process happen. So at the amounts that they were saying in these studies, I was really quite shocked that any of us are having sex at all. But then I started thinking, maybe most of us are really not having as much sex as we like to pretend we're saying that we're having, right? If you do not have enough B12 in your system, vitamin D also, and zinc, the likelihood of a male getting an erection is very, very limited. So if you're suffering from what we call erectile dysfunction, these might be some key factors that you're suffering with, is low nutrient density. So, making sure that you're fortifying your nutrition with these, even if you're taking them like in a multivitamin or whatever, it's going to be critical for males and females to definitely make sure that their zinc, B12, and vitamin D are high enough, just so that they're having enough hormone balance to even just to get that erection, or for females to get their arousal. So don't skimp out on those things. Another thing that I found in let me talk about some foods that you can eat if you're a person that doesn't really like to take pills, but you'd have to eat copious amounts of these foods from what I was reading in the literature. But oysters, pumpkin seeds, and of course, lean meats are all great foods that are rich in zinc. And then you've got your vitamin D you can get in your salmon and fortified dairy. Um, so you can eat your way into it, but I think that honestly, if you eat well and compile these with, supplements on the outside, then you'll be covering your bases there. But I was really, really shocked to see how deficient most males were in zinc and how that correlated to erectile dysfunction. So if you are starting to suffer with some issues in that area, check out that vitamin profile and see if you're getting enough of it. Secondly, omega-3 fatty acids, you're going to find them in salmon, sardines, mackerel, things like that, nuts, seeds. Um, these also help reduce inflammation in the body. In one of the studies, they were talking about 70% of just people, the population period, suffer with high inflammatory responses in the body. So, I mean, that's huge. That's like a good chunk of the world, like just sitting around with inflammation. Inflammation also throws off your hormonal imbalance, more so in women than in men. The study showed women were suffering with um, lower drops in estrogen, conversely to men with their testosterone when they presented with a lot of inflammation. So get your omega-3s in there, take your fish oil, eat your fatty fish. Don't overdo it, of course, but you definitely want to make sure that your body is getting enough of these. And in other podcasts, it's crazy, to know how these vitamins and minerals do so much other things in the body. So it won't just help your sexual health, it'll also help your mental health. You know, I mean, it correlates to so much. So listen to the other podcasts and you'll see a crossover with some of these vitamins and minerals that I'm talking about. So it's really, really cool to see how they play a role in our sexual health. Um, Next thing that I read was how most men are suffering with blood flow and circulation. And I was like, well, why, like what is creating that? And there wasn't really a true answer besides really poor diet was the major correlation in this particular study that I read. They really didn't have, in my opinion, they didn't have a very good answer for it, but they were just saying that, decreased cardiovascular health because of, males eating a lot of processed foods was creating this issue of having low blood flow, low circulation. So they recommended that men have more nitrates and antioxidants in their diet through leafy greens, spinach, beets, berries, and what will happen is if you're putting these especially the beets, putting these into the diet, the nitrates will help to increase the blood flow. The vessels will open up. Right now they're constricted. They'll open up more, and you'll have better blood flow. Um, Also, what was really really cool to read, like flavonoid rich foods. These are things like chocolate and citrus fruits also increase the circulation, particularly in the penis itself. And I thought that that was pretty cool. So if, I don't want you to overeat your chocolate, but I'm just saying it's helpful. You might want to include it in the process, I guess. I don't know. I'm just saying. So that was really interesting. So, taking in high amounts of nitrates. Now, if you're a person that works out, you already know that if you have nitrates in your pre workout, it's for getting the pump. So it's the same premise there. The penis is a muscle, including more nitrates into the body. Now, pre workout is not going to pump up your penis. So that's not what I'm saying. I was just trying to show you an example. So I don't want to see anyone dry scooping pre workout before going in. That's not going to work for you. I'm just saying. But having your diet rich in nitrate rich foods might definitely increase the blood flow and, open up the blood vessels a bit more so that you can get a better erection or hold a longer erection, right? So that's another key. Ben's just laughing back there. I told him this is going to be like an interesting one. Next, energy and stamina. So I don't know who fails on this part when it comes to the sex. I don't know if this is hits more males or hits more females. I tried to look in the literature, and honestly, I didn't see who was really struggling with the energy and stamina. And honestly, in this department, what they talked about really was mind-boggling to me because it's something that I didn't really I don't look at sex as like cardio work, like, doing like the treadmill or anything. But I guess it technically is because they were recommending that you have, a diet rich in, good complex carbohydrates and lean proteins. And I'm like, well, this just sounds like a bodybuilding diet so you can have sex. Like I was just shocked by that. So making sure that you have enough carbohydrates in your diet. Males, they did a study showing that if males and females that were deficient in carbohydrates actually had extremely low libidos, which makes perfect sense because as a bodybuilder, when I prep for competitions and you get to the, latter stages closer to the show, you start restricting carbohydrates. And honestly, in my mind, I used to think that it was more of the output of energy, the consistent cardio, the hard workouts that was making me feel like I didn't want to have any sex at all. But honestly, it was probably the lack of carbohydrate intake because I mean, there were months and months and months with low carbohydrate intake, and I couldn't even muster the thought of sex in my mind. Actually, there were times where I felt a little bit irritated that my husband at the time was even asking me to do it. Like, ugh, really? So that definitely plays a huge role, and I can see where that played a role in my sexual life and my own libido. So if you're, really low carbohydrate and you're feeling like you're very detached from your partner, that might be a sign that you might need to add in some carbs, maybe make a scheduled sex date and carb up. I don't know, just saying, but you got to do something. So just be mindful of that. And we talk about lean protein all the time, right? I mean, honestly, that just goes without saying. You need that for hormone production, muscle production, energy production, brain function. I mean, lean protein is just going to be the staple, the backbone of everything we need to do with our bodies. So just never forget that. Don't skimp on your protein. Um, Mood and mental health. This is where it got really interesting. What the studies were saying basically is that when you're definitely not feeling yourself, whether it's self-esteem, bouts of depression, which I've talked about in a lot of past podcasts at this point, any of those symptoms are naturally going to decrease sexual libido. Most people suffering with these disorders never ever want to have sex. But what they did in one of the studies is they gave high doses of magnesium. They did one study through high doses of magnesium through supplementation, and then one high dose with just doing foods. And the foods that they used were leafy greens, almonds, and bananas. And then they wanted to see if libido or sexual arousal would become a bit more prevalent in the two and which one would be better. And both parties did extremely well. Now, the supplementation um, group did extreme surmountably better than the ones who just ate it because you can only eat so much food, right? So they gave the supplementation and their libido increased by 25%, I think, on the ones that took the supplement, and by 12% on the ones that just ate the foods rich in magnesium. So to me, that was a clear, like, okay, magnesium is definitely something that we need to have on the list for sexual health. Like, for me, that's like a no brainer. Um, Also, B vitamins. I talked a little bit earlier about having the B12 initially in improving, boosting libido for the hormonal health, but B12 just from an energy perspective was also really critical as well. They also did, again, a supplementation group and then a food group with B12, and they used a full scope B, so like a B complex. So it was the whole broad range of the B vitamins. Um, the B vitamin group, they increased their sexual libido by 10%, and the food group increased their libido by 5%. But it was still an increase. So it just goes to show that, being deficient in these vitamins are really playing a critical role in our libido and us not wanting to have sex sometimes at all. And I really feel like I might not have a lot of women that want to express this, but I really think that this hits home with females more so than males. Unfortunately, a lot of these studies were done more so on males than there were on females. But speaking from a female perspective, once we have children, that already automatically puts our hormones out of whack. Then we're being a spouse or significant other and a mom at the same time. And just in that role alone, we tend to undereat 90% of the time. So we're very, very, low on nutrients all the time. Most women, we stay in some type of constant state of not, of poor mental well being. And then our bodies have changed, right? So we're lacking self esteem there. And it's just becomes, I think, like this one big pot of poo and that just makes us feel not like we want to have any sex at all. And then you've got kids screaming, and I'm telling you, that's like great birth control because you're just looking at them like, yeah, I wouldn't want to do this again, even though we always go back, ladies. We always have more kids. I'm just saying. But I say all that to say this for my ladies. I would love for you all to really take some time and get yourself back to a good, healthy, stable place mentally and physically so that you can enjoy, the process of having sex with your partner. I think that we don't discuss this stuff enough. I really, after really going through the studies and just kind of sitting back and thinking things over through my own personal life and lives of women that I've spoken to over the years, we're missing the communication piece of what is really happening with us. And we're also missing the, hey, we need to also be healthy just so we can create intimacy between the two of us and want each other from a mental and a physical perspective. So I think it's really critical to start having these conversations and really treating our bodies the way that we should be treating them so that we can have the, you know, lovely sexual life that we all, I think, dream of that seems to be fantasy more times than not. But, you know, we all get that point. What I also noticed was there were some specific foods that they tested just to kind of see what their effects were. And they just wanted to take it from a pure stance on just food. And I thought that it was really, really cool. Avocados, which I call them the magical fruit, and they really, really are. They do so much for your body that it's not even funny. They're rich in the healthy fats that we talked about you needing. They're also rich in vitamin E, those critical B vitamins, and all of those three things support hormonal balance, energy, and blood flow. The three things that you need, to make your sexual life a whole lot better. Now, men, please do not start plowing down avocados all day long. That is probably not going to be the key. It needs to be balanced. So I don't want to see you guys plowing down avocados saying, "Okay, I'm trying to get it up." But adding them into the diet and adding supplementation into the diet is definitely going to be key. Another thing that I thought was really cool that they did with the study, they did nuts and seeds. They did almonds, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, um, and macadamia nuts. And these are all rich in zinc, magnesium, L-arginine, which is the nitrates that help you get that pump. And so these all improve circulation, which drastically improve libido. In the study I saw, this one had a 32% increase in libido when these foods were consistently put into a nutrition regimen. And the study was over 25 weeks long. So it wasn't just a short study. God bless the people who did the study because we appreciate them. I hope they liked all the food. But seriously, then they used watermelon, which contains citrulline. If you're a workout person, you know citrulline is really, really cool because this also converts into a nitric oxide, which helps get you the pump. Um, Again, this was great for blood flow. They saw increase in all the male patients and female patients with blood flow to the area when they, gave out watermelon. So that's another food that you can add to your diet that's on the natural realm of, helping you out in this manner. And then this one surprised me, um, garlic. Now, garlic is amazing for a plethora of things. Like garlic is, it can do a ton. I mean, I can do a whole show, I think, on garlic, honestly. What I didn't know is, I do know that it contains allicin, but I did not know that this was directly correlated to blood flow by way of reducing blood pressure. So they did a study on the garlic and gave it to people who had high blood pressure. Their high blood pressure decreased, but they also saw an increase in their libido, which was a byproduct of the study because they weren't even thinking about the libido. They were just trying to treat the high blood pressure alone. And most people started saying that they felt like their sex drive had increased once they started taking the garlic. So, how cool is that? Add a little bit of garlic to spice up your, spice up your life. Put the garlic in. Now,
I was gonna say maybe you might need to add it to some of the food too.
we'll add it to the food. Yeah. Don't actually, yeah. Don't put the garlic in the bed.
Add it to the food. Eat the food.
Baby, drink a little bit. Even a little bit of this garlic, baby. Just have a little piece. Don't do that. So add it to the food. But those are the things that you can do supplement wise. It was, of course, not a long laundry list. It's very concise. So it seems to me to be B vitamins, especially B12, zinc, magnesium, and then things like L-citrulline and L-arginine for the blood flow. Those, and I read quite a few studies, about 6 to 8 studies, between 6 and 8 studies, and all that seemed to be like the thing that crossed through all of them were those 5 particular items. So from a supplementation perspective, that's all that they had to say there. What I thought was really cool was they got into, the portion about exercising. And I mean, this should go without saying, the more that you exercise, the better you get more of a dopamine hit, right? So it becomes, you're starting to feel better about who you are. So that helps you with the mental boost. But then eventually you start to physically look better. And then this helps with self-esteem. And they showed that once they did it was a 6-month study on males and females on they did them all with a nutrition plan and exercise regimen, and then wanted to rate their self-esteem and sexual confidence post all of that. Everyone's body had transformed to different varying degrees, but everyone felt more confident about themselves. Their self-esteem had raised, and their libido, and desire had definitely gone up. So there's something to be said about going to the gym and exercising, not only to look good, but also to bring down your health markers. If you can bring down your high cholesterol, your high blood pressure, that's going to also increase the blood flow. It's also going to increase your mental stability, making you feel better about things, about life, and you look better. That's a recipe right there for you to have better sex all the way around. And so if you and your significant other are struggling in this department, or one of you are struggling in this department, it might be worth sitting down and having the honest conversation to kind of pick out, okay, why are we really struggling here? Is it we don't like each other? Because if it's you don't like each other, you can't nutrition plan that up. You guys got to get a new person. But I'm just saying. But if it's really a thing where maybe both of you are unhealthy, right? He's struggling to get or keep an erection, and you're struggling with, female arousal. It might be worth it just for that. And I don't want to sound shallow, but intimacy is a huge part of who we are as human beings. So it might be worth it just to get into better health and better shape, just to improve your sexual intimacy. No, like, I feel like that makes so much sense to me when we're thinking about it. I mean, what better thing can you find to have to eat better or exercise for, right? Than saying, damn, I'm having better, sexual relations with my partner. So have those conversations and really discuss it and take it serious. If one or more of you need to lose weight, to bring your health markers down, if you guys are struggling, one of you is struggling with, blood flow issues, erectile dysfunction, don't not have the conversation. And if you're in a place where you can't financially seek out, doctors for it, Let medicine be thy food and food be thy medicine. I firmly believe in that. So start from a place of nutrition and healing the body naturally to get you to a better point and hopefully to some amazing, great, healthy sex in the bed. So that's all I have for you guys today. Quick, simple, easy. I thought it was just really cool when I, crossed my mind and said I wanted to look into it. And though it's not a lot of meat to it, honestly, it doesn't need to be. The bottom line is take care of yourself. And if you take care of yourself, you'll be able to take care of your partner. So with that, I'm going to give you guys the flex. I have got to measure my bicep for one of the viewers. I will get to that, I promise. We will do that.
We can do it live. Like I'll come over there.
Yes,
I'll
we're
get
gonna
a
do it
tape
live.
measure. I'll be the judge on that.
So that I'm not, I got 22 inches over here. I do not. These are probably like maybe, I don't know, 13, 14. I don't know. You know what? How about we take some bets in the comments? Yeah, drop them in the comments. What you think? I'll flex it up again. You tell me what you guys think it is. I'm going to say 14. I have no idea, so I'm going to call 14. What do you got, Ben?
Let me see it again. One more time. I'll just give you, I'll say 16.
Ooh, that's big. He's going 16.
But I got a question for you, though.
Yes.
I mean, of course, you try and keep them the same, but would you say one arm's bigger than the other?
Yeah. Actually, I have a better peak on my right than I do my left.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
So we would be measuring from the top of the peak.
From the top of the peak.
From a full flex.
Twin Peaks. We're gonna do Twin
Yeah.
This is about section now.
There you go. Not these.
Not these peaks, the other peaks.
Oh, they're gonna love that.
So yeah, we'll measure them, but so yeah, I'm gonna close out this episode of the Do It Anyway podcast. I want to thank you guys again for watching. You can listen on Spotify or Applecast, and if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with anybody that you feel this information is useful for. And with that, I will see you guys next week. Peace.